What? Smoking all my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats over achieving never slacking. So we got Black American culture is dying. So called black, right? So called black. Ghetto blacks are to blame. And this is by, I want to say, Zaria Simmons. That sounds like a nice name. I like that. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. Original link in the description if I didn't say that already. Let's go. Let's see what she got to say.
Here is my little 2 cents that nobody asked for. I am sick of
It was needed. I don't even know if she's really like the angle she's gonna go in, but just know your opinion was is needed in the world.
2 cents that nobody asked for. I am sick of seeing Black Americans in the media, on social media, in the news, doing crime, walking around next to naked, the women, the men perpetuating gang violence, substance abuse. The absolute worst of our community is oversaturating the media, even though they make up a small percentage of all of Black Americans.
She's correct. I'm not gonna listen. She is 100% correct. Uh, it seems like that's what's popularized. Not even see. I mean, it's in our face. That's what's popularized the most. Um, Dancing, in ignorance, right? It's like being a dancing monkey. You see all these videos, everybody dancing, dancing, but it's like, and they're dancing to all these rap songs, but it's like when you really listen to the lyrics on a lot of these songs, it's like, hold on, this not this. This is pretty ignorant, and just the thug culture, period. That's always promoted. Um, I hate it. I hate it. I do. I do, especially when you know history, right? And you know just how great our ancestors were. And I don't even gotta just in America alone. When you look at how amazing they were and the things that they stood for, a lot of our ancestors, to see now, man, oh man, I'm gonna let her cook though.
The decay of our morality within Black communities has been slowly declining over the past 20 years, and no one is talking about it, no one is saying anything about it or trying to address it. And if you do, you are often told that you're policing Black bodies. If you say Black women, stop getting on the internet and in the media, twerking, walking around with little clothes on. People tell you that you're policing bodies, policing Black bodies, or it's respectability politics. If you are Black and you speak your piece on what we're seeing in the media, if you don't like seeing the low morality that is often portrayed about the Black community in the media, from the trap music to the Black women twerking in music videos and all over social media, the Sukihanas and the Sexy Reds of the world. If you are Black and you take issue with it and you talk about it, you are usually called bourgeois, sedity, uppity, it's respectability politics, you're policing Black bodies and the like. And it's like, no, I'm Black too. And as such, this being my ethnic culture as
See, that's where they got us at though. Just calling ourselves black in general. We just been stripped of so much. What? Look at the tribes, for example. It was tribe names on my maternal side. My mother's literally from Igbo land. It was Igbo. America, you got the Seminole. We got Europe, all these different tribes and things based off bloodlines. We forgot about that, and we let things just be thrown into one pot and called black. Right? When you look on certain census, like in I forgot the year, but way back in Virginia, they had laws that was taking Native Americans and in Negroes, or putting them together and calling it black, or calling, or just they were messing with a lot of things that confused it. It's what I'm trying to say. It was almost as if what we see today is like it was created. You get what I'm saying? When you look at the amalgamation of, if I'm pronouncing that right, I want to say amalgamation is the word, of Africans, Native Indians, and European, right? When you look at that, almost as if it was like the NIGGA factory, and it was like created. was like created, man. And then you look at gangster rap, because even with hip hop, it was, it was the five elements. It was dancing. It was b-boying. It was DJing. It was MCing. It was graffiti. It was knowledge. It was about, talking about the struggle. And we seen how that was engineered to gangster, gangster, thug, thug, thug. So it's like all this was like created, and it went from us being farmers in the 30s, the 1930s, us being, majority of the farmers, to now look at how much farmers there are, how much so-called black. So it's like all this stuff is like socially engineered a certain way, right? It's like a creation.
As well, I have a right to have something to say about what I'm seeing going on. Your average black American is a middle class, working class, blue collar Jane and Joe. The ghetto subculture, black ghetto subculture that we see often portrayed and over inundated and oversaturating the media, those black Americans make up a tiny, tiny percentage of black Americans as a whole. But somehow they're in the media, overcompensating in the media, oversaturating the media. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say that I'm sick of seeing it, that it's gross, that it is destroying what black culture actually is. It's co-opting black culture as a whole and making it seem as though all of black culture is ghetto subculture. I'm not the only black American who takes issue with it. Because like I said, majority of black America is middle class, not in the ghettos, not out here perpetuating gang violence, promiscuity, and everything else. And I don't care if you claim it's respectability politics. I guess so. So be it. Because this is gross. It's getting really gross out here how blatantly disrespectful and low class we're acting on social media and in the media, on the internet, on TV. And you can claim that this is someone else's set of moral standards, but no, it isn't. It isn't. Look at Black America in the 50s, in the 60s. Our moral standards back then.
That's literally what I was pretty much saying. She reminds me of one of those women, those so-called black women that back in those days, the Victorian dresses. Look at how the elders used to dress, the ancestors used to dress with the Victorian dresses, the Victorian outfits. I mean, look at that. Look how they carried themselves as young women and as ladies and elders to now, where you could just see grandmothers just twerking. It's crazy. And that listen, it's disgusting out here.
Drastically different from what we have today, or what we're convincing ourselves is a moral standard today. Every racial group on the face of the planet has their own ghetto subculture within their respective racial and ethnic groups. This is the case for everybody, everywhere. White people, Asian people, Mexican people, you name it. The difference is that those racial groups and those ethnic groups do not allow their ghetto subculture to co-opt the entire culture as a whole and to represent the entire culture as a whole. They don't allow it. Everybody else,
this rabbit hole goes too deep,
within that respective ethnic group or cultural group or racial group, has a right to say how they want to see themselves represented in the media, what they want to see and what they don't want to see, who gets to speak for them and who does not. Except for when you're a Black American and you have something to say about the way that you see Black Americans being portrayed in the media, and you have a critique for your peers. You can't do it because it's respectability politics if you attempt to do it. Or you're judging your peers by a set of moral standards that somebody else created, which is a farce. From the Reconstruction era down through the 60s, Black Americans had their own set of moral standards and social protocols that we adhered to. Ask your grannies, ask your great grannies, they'll tell you. I have had just about enough of seeing Black culture being drugged through the muck by other Black Americans who are perverting it and turning Black culture, something that is beautiful, into something perverse. Showing their ass on the internet all the time. The men are constantly rapping and talking about gang violence. Our children are uneducated and stupid. We've created a cultural standard of promiscuity and single motherhood. And when a Black American goes to critique and judge our peers, our fellow Black Americans, and critique the condition of our neighborhoods today, they're shut down. That's respectability politics. You're policing Black Americans. If that's what it is, so be it. So be it. It needs to be said. And in order for us to attempt to escape accountability or responsibility on our own part, we claim that the conditions that we see in Black communities is being caused by somebody else. It's not our own fault. It's white people and it's structural racism or something or another. It's everybody else's fault except for our own. Give me a break. It's pitiful. It's pitiful that we refuse to take accountability for the things that we see going on in our communities. And sure, we can acknowledge that structural racism and the history of slavery in this country and discrimination and Jim Crow and black codes and all of that has played a part in the conditions and some of the conditions that we see in Black communities. But we also have to be responsible for the ways in which Black Americans create their own conditions and contribute to the degenerative effects that we see going on in our communities. Black Americans who don't want to hear that immediately run to innocence. They rush to innocence. They claim that it's respectability politics to call out these issues in our community. They claim that it's policing Black bodies to call out the low morality and the moral decay in our community. Call it whatever you want. You're not going to get me to shut up about it. I'm Black. This is my culture too. I have a right to talk about and critique what is happening in my culture and have something to say about it. That's all.
Do you live in Pennsylvania?
She cooked. There's a lot. There's a lot I wanted to say, but I just didn't want to. I wanted her to cook. I didn't want to keep pausing and pausing and pause because there's almost every sentence I had something to say back to her. Listen, like I said, I don't. I personally don't. I don't go by color. I don't. I'm Black. I don't because it's like that's why I say the rabbit hole goes deep. The culturally like people that spirit has been broken in a lot of ways. Like I said, it was tribes, it was but blood types. It was never just, oh, you're Black, you're white, you had the Irish that I always speak about, who they were on indentured servants, were on plantations with those in the aboriginals and what we call so-called Africans and the Caribbeans. I mean, and it's just so much I could go deep into, but she's right as far as like you speak on it. People will, they'll brush you off, especially if you mention one of their favorite celebrities. They'll come at you. But here's the thing: when you start to justify so many wrongdoings, you just keep going and you keep going to the point where you pretty much just living in this hell state where anything goes and it's a lawless society because no one stood up and said enough is enough. And that's what happened. So it's like people have a problem selling their soul, man. I'm gonna just straight get to it, and what I mean by that is, okay, look at way back. Even when you look at a lot of there was African kings, that was selling their people, selling their people, enslaving their people. But they didn't consider them their people because they might have been, opposite tribes. But then there was ones that would take their people, people that were their people from the same tribe and sell them off for in exchange for gold, and all they had to do was take this other person, just taking their religion, and it was craziness. So this has been going on, and it's like even before then, like I feel like this is a problem that's just been, and I feel like that's why, you know, whatever universal laws out there that was broken is why we had to go through the transatlantic slave trade, and we just kept falling like that because of how we was doing each other. That's my personal theory. But I do believe there was a point where we really did start to rise. When you look at Black Wall Street, when you look at Lake Lanier that got flooded out, Black Wall Street got burnt to the ground. There's so many. I feel like there was a point, and then it's like gangster music came. Right? You have the Panthers, then it's like the gangster music, man. And then all of a sudden it was like the crack and the just drugs, period. And then that became what everything was about. The money, the money, the money, the money. Next thing you know, everybody want to sell their soul for money, 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 money. Putting money first. Money over B-I-T, the B word. Money over the H word. Money, and that became, people started to brainwash these babies with that. And that's what's, for whatever reason, that's what we see everywhere now. But like she said, that doesn't make up the total. It's like when I see videos of like there'll be, so-called black kids jumping someone that's not black or not so-called black, or one black kid may get beat up or something, and I'll see all these comments and people are like, oh yeah, they like to, all they do is jump, people. It's like whatever you're seeing is not represent the total. How many MMA fighters do we have? MMA, last I checked, that was a one-on-one combat sport. How many so-called black MMA fighters do we have? Right? Let's talk about it. How many so-called black uh, boxing champions do we have? Is that not one-on-one combat? How many so-called black American wrestlers do we have? Is that not one-on-one physical? So it's almost like people take the most ignorant things, and that's what's promoted, and to represent a whole culture of people, and that to me is mind-blowing, because it's like it's not true, right? But why is that majority of all we're seeing is the nonsense, the ignorance? Why? Going it just makes no sense. So she's definitely, I feel her passion, I feel why she feels how she feels. you know um I would say for her, keep diving deeper into her personal heritage, and really see what's in her blood type, and how and what that traces to, and just keep doing your homework, because just I think like that, just that black title is, that's a major problem too. And it's time for a new world. It's time for us to start breaking out of these curses. And that's just the truth. But with that being said, shout out to the young, intelligent woman who came here and wasn't afraid, very confident, and she said her piece. And it's been received and respected. With that being said, I'll see y'all soon. Much love.